Hello, welcome to Baltic World, premier channel discussing news and important issues facing Northern, Central and Eastern Europe. My name is Crispin, and today I'm giving you an update on the worsening border crisis between Poland and Belarus and Lithuania and Belarus. As many of you will be aware, thousands of irregular migrants have poured into the European Union in recent months across this border. Around 5,000, I believe, are currently in Lithuania, with several thousand more along the border on the Belarusian side. Now, by contrast, around 70 crossed that border in the entirety of 2020. So this is a new phenomenon, an engineered crisis by the Lukashenko regime, aiming to exploit the fissures within the European Union and the various member states because they have differences over how to handle irregular migration from the rest of the world. You'll recall Angela Merkel welcoming refugees in 2014 from Syria with open arms, this being deeply resented in countries like Poland and Hungary, who did not want to take a flood of migrants, and many hundreds of thousands then did, of course, enter the European Union to the chagrin of many. It certainly contributed to the Brexit referendum result, Britain seeking to control its own borders, a problem that it persists with many thousands of migrants crossing the English Channel, going through safe countries along the route, including, of course, France. And so this discord that exists is something that could advantage Belarus and Russia and other countries unfriendly to the European Union, because solidarity is required in order to maintain sanctions against the Belarusian Lukashenko regime. So I'll give you an updated story. This is quite important, out of Reuters, and it's titled "Lithuania Border Camps in State of Emergency Over Migrants from Belarus." Lithuania's parliament on Tuesday declared a state of emergency at the country's border with Belarus and at camps hosting migrants who arrived from there, a tally of votes showed. The state of emergency, which begins at midnight local time in the night of Tuesday to Wednesday and is to last a month, allows border guards to use mental coercion and proportional physical violence to prevent migrants from entering Lithuania. EU member states accuse Belarus of encouraging illegal migrants from the Middle East, Afghanistan and Africa to cross the border into the EU in revenge for sanctions already slapped on Minsk over human rights abuses. Lithuania's declaration bans all travel to within 5 kilometres of the Belarus border unless allowed by border guards. Mobile phones could be taken away from migrants, and public gatherings near the border and in the camps could be forbidden. The state of emergency, this is a quote, "The state of emergency is needed to use extraordinary measures to remove the serious threat posed to society by the massive influx of foreigners," end quote, the motion before Parliament said. I'll leave it there for now. We could return to it. It's important to understand where these people are coming from. They're obviously not coming from Belarus's native Belarusians. They're coming from the Middle East. How are they getting there? They're being flown in, mostly from Istanbul. There is a daily flight with Belarussian Airlines, the national carrier of Belarus, from Istanbul to Minsk, but also other carriers are servicing that route as well. Third-party carriers like Turkish Airlines, Aeroflot and others are bringing these migrants into Belarus. Lukashenko is then driving them out to the border and dumping them there, encouraging them to force their way across the border. So let's first discuss the measures being taken. Well, this is the first time in Lithuania's history that it has employed a state of emergency. That goes to show how serious this crisis has become. Now, as for seizing mobile phones and various filmmaking devices, I think that is critical. Now, on the one hand, it creates a certain risk that human rights abuses could occur, that you have a media shutdown so people can't report faithfully, and there should be some provision for independent observers, some proper media to be able to report on the border crisis and what is happening there. First, as a deterrent against any potential wrongdoing, but also a way to combat disinformation and misreporting that could come out from there. But the overwhelming majority of migrants on that border are young men. The images that will be flooded around the world, however, will be of children, of women. These are propaganda videos that are created with the deliberate attempt at creating discord and disharmony and disunity among the EU member states, saying that there are abuses occurring on the borders, when in fact that is highly improbable. Then there is the issue of third-party airlines. Now, to the EU's credit, it is currently considering sanctions against airlines that fly into Belarus. I think this is absolutely critical, not only for the migrant issue, although that is important, but also in retaliation for what happened to the Ryanair flight. You'll recall a plane was forced down by the Belarusian regime just to arrest an individual journalist on that flight. That is a complete outrage. So I think third-party airlines, just for moral reasons, just for safety of its passengers, should not be flying into Belarusian airspace for any reason. All the more so not to profit from the migration of people from the Middle East, people who clearly don't have the paperwork to be able to legitimately fly into Belarus from the Middle East, because if they did, then they would be able to present those documents to border guards when seeking to enter the European Union, which they do not. You'll recall Erdogan last year threatened to flood the EU with up to 3.6 million migrants unless he was paid off. This was during the Greek migrant crisis. At that time, the EU capitulated, hugely bankrolling Erdogan and his regime in Turkey, ostensibly to provide support to the refugees that were stranded there. Well, now he has the perfect solution. He takes all that money and gets rid of them anyway into the EU, this time via a third-party partner in the form of Lukashenko, and sending them to Belarus. This has not been lost on Poland either. There is a report which I have found. It's from Middle East Eye. It's titled, "Poland Accuses Turkey of Synchronizing Refugee Crisis with Belarus and Russia." Frustrated Polish Prime Minister says Warsaw's recent help to Ankara turned out to be a one-way favor. Poland criticized Turkey on Tuesday for maintaining an open corridor between Istanbul and Minsk and helping Belarus to bring thousands of refugees to its border with Poland. Quote, "We see that Turkish actions are fully synchronized with Belarus and Russia. It bothers us. We don't like it," said Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki during an emergency parliamentary session. Morawiecki mostly blames Belarus for Poland's refugee crisis, but says the mastermind is Moscow. But in response to a question, he also criticized Ankara for not doing enough. Leave it there. Clearly, Erdogan is exploiting the crisis for his own purposes. He is being deeply unfriendly to the European Union, as has been his modus operandi for many years now. I want to also say I am not against refugees in the abstract. If people are fleeing persecution, if they are under the real risk of violence and death upon their return, then of course they need safe harbour to have their claims properly assessed. And if found to be refugees by the UNHCR, then there is an obligation, both moral and legal, on the entire international community to provide a host nation. However, that does not mean self-selecting across 15 different countries without any due process, dumping your identity documents as soon as you're challenged, and claiming refugee status in the wealthiest places you can find. And certainly the vast majority of people entering the European Union, going across the entirety of the Middle East to get there, well, they are not in imminent danger of violence and death because they've already reached safe harbour and primarily likely to be economic migrants or worse. We have seen a horrible uptick in violence in the European Union as a consequence of the migration from ostensibly Syria, but many other countries as well, since 2014. And you don't need me to go into that. You know this perfectly well. So I am fully supportive of refugee intake. I think it was a critical outcome of the Second World War. You know that I've just released a video on anti-Semitism. That's what happened as a consequence of the Holocaust, as we had this new international legal framework so that countries would have to give safe harbour to those fleeing persecution. But that is being exploited in all kinds of ways. And by Lukashenko, it's being exploited by allowing huge, irregular, unprocessed migration to flood the European Union. So what does this mean for the region? Well, there are consequences for securitizing the EU border in this way. It makes it more difficult for Belarusian opposition figures fleeing the Lukashenko regime to escape into the European Union. It gives Lukashenko the political cover to further militarize the border on his side, claiming he's defending himself from NATO aggression. And this could be orchestrated by Russia. As of now, some 90,000 Russian troops have been detected amassing ostensibly near Ukraine, but actually in Yelnya, which is much closer to Belarus. So concerned is the United States about this. Last week, they dispatched the CIA director himself personally to Moscow to have talks with his counterparts. Now, he used to be the US ambassador to Russia, so he knows that country very well, in order to get a sense of what the Russians are hoping to achieve. Whatever is happening, it is not likely to be resolved anytime soon. And this issue of refugees and asylum seekers, well, that could just be one component in a strategy of escalation to as yet unclear outcome. The Russians could be simply supporting Lukashenko and propping up his regime, or this could be a border policy of Russia to destabilize the European Union, place pressure on the Baltic countries, and distract from his activities in Ukraine. So we will continue to cover this with great interest. I will let you know any developments, but certainly this is the first time that Lithuania has ever declared a state of emergency, and I will also be interested in how that unfolds. In the meantime, I encourage everyone in the EU to get behind this border control. It is absolutely vital for EU solidarity that they all get behind Lithuania and Poland on this issue, support them with resources that aid them in securing the border, and continuing to pressure the Lukashenko regime to enter a dialogue with the opposition and move towards free and fair elections, including through the use of sanctions upon that government. That's my view. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know if you have any good insights on that issue, and do remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.